they needed a ride. We were headed in that direction anyway. So we were like, okay, we'll just take a short detour, pick him up, and then drop him off here. No problem. Plus, I think the dude, his name was something like Byron or Tyron or Dylan or something in, let's call him Brian. So Brian owed Cameron something. I think he was holding some money from him anyway. So we went to pick him up. He decided that he was going to make some extra money on the side by being a pimp because he had some sort of relationship with a prostitute or someone who just flat backed, as they call it, every now and then to make money. I believe that's a Detroit terminology. Midwestern terminology. And I was unaware that his prostitute, the one who was pimping, would need. That's why they were going down to the Strip. We were going to go down to the Strip anyway. They were going down to the Strip for that reason.
They were working. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So she had asked him to be her pimp because she had been flat back and solo for a while, and she just wanted a little extra protection, I guess. But this guy Brian, he wasn't meant for that life. He was behaving in a very stereotypical way. He was behaving as if he was supposed to embody what he had perceived in rap music or on television or whatever. So when he got in the car, he was talking all this shit like, yeah, this is my bitch. She a pretty bitch, ain't she? And all this other shit. And she's just back there like, just chewing her gum, I can't even do it without actually gum in my mouth. But that like the black person chew, like, yeah. So she was like that, just kind of like not even responding and just looking like, yeah.
That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, because she was just like, look, I just gotta make some money. Like, fuck it. That this is how the situation is unfurling at this point. Fuck it. I'll deal with this shit later. So, the whole ride over, maybe it was about a 10 or 15 minute ride over to the Flamingo Hotel to drop her off where she was going to meet one of her clients. He was just talking all this shit about, a pimp's life is this and a pimp's life is that. And I'm looking at Cameron and Cameron is looking at me like, this is not how we would manage a prostitute at all.
Because we've discussed this. Oh my God.
Like, I don't see where this mentality, this attitude, and this general demeanor is positive for anybody involved, except for him. It was all about his ego or whatever. And I kept on stealing glasses at her. And so by the time they both got out of the car, I turned to Cameron and he turned to me, and we both agreed, like, yeah, he ain't gonna be a pimp for too much longer. Because she looked like she would have one of her tricks rob him and then kick his ass and leave him in a tent somewhere. Like, I'm not even sure why she selected him. He wasn't right for it. he wasn't.
Welcome to Tangentially Speaking, the podcast where we have in-depth and entertaining conversations with a lot of tangents that always eventually connect two seemingly unrelated topics.
I am Nikki.
And I'm Nita Sharice.
Today we're discussing HBO's The White Lotus, a Black comedy drama anthology which first premiered in 2021. The series gets up close and personal with staff members and guests at a fictional luxury resort chain called The White Lotus. The first season takes place in Hawaii, while the second season happens in Sicily. Besides a different locale, each season features a different cast of characters except for one, the wealthy and psychologically needy Tanya McQuad, played by Jennifer Coolidge. All right.
You've been telling me to watch this show, and I think I said before, like, I started the first episode, but I was not paying attention to it. And I'm like, okay, this is a show it seems like it's going to be paid attention to. Because, HBO, I had to give it to them. HBO be getting on my nerves sometimes. But they typically come through with shows that it's like, okay, I got to sit here and watch this shit because I am going to be moved and I'm going to be entertained. So yeah, finally I got the time and I binged first and second season back to back. And I was definitely happy that it wasn't like a 20 episode show, because then I would have been stuck. Like I could not watch it.
Yeah, right. I'm so jealous that you got to like watch it back to back and not have to have that wait, because you're able to see that there is like a through line. Because watching the second season, which just ended last week, and they I don't even think that they doled them out like 2 at a time, because this season, the second season, there were 8 episodes, I believe.
Okay.
And so they make you, it is truly like TV used to be. Like you have to wait. Like the only difference is after it's aired, you can watch it whenever you want, but you have to be ready at 9 o'clock or whatever the time is for you to watch this thing. And people are literally watching it at the same time. That's why when I said I want you to watch it, but stay away from anything, because everybody, like, this is something where people aren't even mad if right after it goes off, you're spoiling, because everybody's watching it. Like no one has any sympathy. Like, you haven't seen it. It came on 5 minutes ago. Get your life together. It's like we are watching TV like we did in the 90s in the good old days. But I was able to see like, oh, that he's kind of like, this is connected. Because when you hear that it's a different cast, you immediately think like, okay, totally different ballgame. And in some ways, yes, but in a lot of ways, he kind of had like, there was kind of a one-to-one that I guess we can get into if like, maybe we can like compare the first group of people to the second group, as far as just like how they interact with each other and with the other guests. And just like, you know, this is the white bro dude who has no clue about anything, or like, I think like maybe the only difference is the family in the first season. It was more of like a typical family, and maybe the family in the second season, it was just the men. Like the guy with his dad and his grandfather. I don't think there was any other like multiple members of one family in the second season outside of the guys who were going back to like trace their heritage or something. I think everybody else, it was like the couples, Tanya's crazy ass, and they may have been the only family, right?
Yeah, but the first season wasn't it just the one family, the wealthy woman and her slightly less wealthy husband, their kids.
Right. That's But yeah, well, that's what I was saying, that the families were different. Like in the first season, like this is a stereotypical like mom, dad, kids, and with the other one, the mom was not there because of
the dad's fuckery.
Still a family, yeah.
Well, it's what you would expect at any hotel. Like if you go to a hotel, you're not going to get just all families, 2 parents with 3 kids. You're going to get whatever guests are staying there.
Right,
so
right.
Business travelers, you're going to get vacationers, newlyweds,
it's a good mix. And I guess because I kind of did it backwards, like when you were talking about the first season, was thinking, oh shoot, I don't really remember that. I need to watch that. But I went on and I watched the season finale, like along with everybody else, the second season, and then went back and immediately was like, oh, that's just like I couldn't help but like, oh, this is kind of them. Or like, this is kind of the same bro dude, just maybe not a whore, but like, and like even the dynamic of the 2 young girls was there, like in both seasons. And them like fucking up with drugs and things like that. So
yeah, these are privileged people. These are predominantly white people. So I saw a lot of similarities. Those are the kind of people that can afford to stay at resorts like that. And they always got the craziest shit going on. And then if you've ever worked in just any type of service industry, but specifically in like a hotel setting, staff people, they are like that. It's funny because like a hotel is a mix of the very intimate with the very business environment, because this is a business transaction going on. But like, anytime you have a bed somewhere, there's going to be some level of intimacy.
Yeah, because it's like, I just cleaned your room and y'all are nasty, or like I saw your underwear, or you asked for laundry service. You can't think that these human beings are not looking at what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like they're going to clean your room. They see your stuff. And these wealthy people wealthy people in general are not worried about anything. Like they leave stuff out. Whereas if you're kind of like a regular person, I'm not saying you have to be like below the poverty line, but you obviously like you have enough money to travel. There's certain things that you do. Like you kind of clean your room for them. Like, I don't want my shit just out. It's like the thought of, well, at least this is me. I don't want people just touching my stuff. So I leave things like, yeah, we're living in this room for right now, but it's not to where it's like, oh, the cap to this is over here. And this is because it's like, they have to clean. So I don't want anybody like picking up my stuff. Let me kind of just put things away sort of. And also people steal, just period.
Well, that just reminds me of the first time I stayed in a hotel, like I think I was in 6th grade, and our class went on a trip to Disneyland, because I grew up in Northern California. So we drove down to Disneyland, and we were there for 3 or 4 days, and we went to Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, medieval times, and a lot of those attractions down there. And we stayed in a hotel. The first night, I was thinking, okay, I'm staying in somebody else's house. Like if I'm staying in my cousin's house, so you make up the bed. So I made up the fucking hotel bed. And then I go visit my other classmates in their rooms. They hadn't made up shit. So I was just like, what? Maid service. It was just like, no, the maids will come in and do it. So I just think back to that time. I don't know if it was necessarily because I had less money, or I just wasn't used to staying in a hotel. I never stayed in one before, because every time we travel, we have a family member that stays there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have family in Florida. We have family in New York. We have family in Washington. We have family in Southern California. We have family in Oklahoma. We have family in Texas. We have family in Louisiana now. So we always had somewhere else to stay. So yeah, but now that I've gotten older and I've acquired more money, man, I lock the important shit in the safe or take it with me, but the mess is the mess.
Right. I mean, so I don't clean. It's certain things, like if I don't want you touching it, like the people that care about their jobs, they want to leave it neat. Because also they know that people are assholes, and you're not about to call on me and say that I didn't clean the room, because I didn't but it's certain things like, well, you don't want anybody to touch this, close it up and put it out of the way. Like it's like the toothpaste and my facial cream or something that's going to all kind of go back in my toiletry bag. It might not be zipped up, but it's kind of just like all of this is contained. Towels and stuff. Yeah. But I'm still just very much like, if you don't want people touching it, then you need to put it up, because if they're cleaning up, they're going to move it. Like sometimes you'll see how they take your junk and they're like, we're going to put it in a nice little oval. All your like, right. Like they're never going to, they're probably not going to like unzip your bag and put it in there because that's a violation. But they're like, but I also have to do my job. So like one time, usually when traveling with Zoe, and I'm just like, I am tired. I wrestled with this child. We're leaving this here. You come back, all her stuff is just kind of in a nice little shape. Like they sit here and like make a dinosaur shape out of all your shit.
Yeah.
To just show I was here and did my job. Don't you fuck with my life. But I'm not opening up your suitcase and like putting these toys back. So I'm very mindful of that. It's funny. I think the first time I stayed in a hotel, I was also in 6th grade. And it was for like this side job that my dad was doing. And they took the whole company, or like he achieved something. So we went to Mobile, Alabama, to the Marriott Grand Hotel. this is what I based all of my hotel experiences from that point on. Was like at 4:00 there must be chocolate chip, like fresh baked cookies and like tea and milk. Just to me, I was like, this is a hotel. This is a height of luxury. And it was a pretty nice hotel. But I remember we were leaving out and housekeeping was coming in. And I was telling my mom, like, wait a minute, we have to hurry up and clean. She's like, no, it's okay. The lady's going to clean it. And I felt awful. I was just like, they're just going to clean. It just felt wrong. And they were Black. And I was just like, wait, no. And I looked at my mom like, woman, you're okay with this? And she's like, they're at work. So we're going to leave. She's like, she was trying to get us like out of their way. She's like, let's let these ladies clean. And I was like, why are they doing that? And I was like, oh, those are maids. You know how like I was a well-read child. I knew about that. Seen it on TV, but I was like, oh, they got to clean up for me? Oh, that's so wrong. Like, it just felt wrong. I felt so sad. I made them a card. Thank you for cleaning it, like left it on the thing. And when I came back and there were Andy's mints on the pillow, I was like, they just giving out chocolate on the pillow. It's like I was touched and horrified.
Now, see,
that all me, even me, Lord.
Okay, now see, like, I know, like, I got over, like, picking up after myself, like, or not making the bed real quick, like, oh, I don't have to do this shit. Great. That reminded me of, like, the nicest hotel that I stayed in ever was Embassy Suites. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is like the ultimate in luxury. This is way before living in Las Vegas, way before like living in Southern California, in LA, actually visiting, what is that? The Beverly Hills Hotel. I've actually set foot in there. That's fucking luxury. But at the time,
really?
I think, yes, at the time I was 15 or 16 and my aunt, who used to be like a regional director for Avon. She was having some sort of Avon convention in wine country, in Napa Valley wine country. And she invited mom to go with her. And then she was like, oh, if Nene and Nikki, you know, my sister wants to come and hang out in the room, because Sharice was pregnant at the time with my nephew.
Oh,
so if they want to come and hang out in the room while we go, they could do that too. So we came and hang out and ended up spending the night because it was a whole suite. There was the bedroom and then there was the pull-out couch. And we're like, wow.
Amazing. What?
Like, yeah, we just thought like we were just too cute and too like high-minded. You couldn't hit us in the ass with a red apple.
What?
It's another Sheila White, courtesy of Bertha Mae Moutry saying. But anyway, there's that feeling. But then going to Nigeria and then, you know, staying in my in-laws' house and being waited on hand and foot by a house girl, where she took our clothes and hand washed them. And I'm like, no, you're not washing my underwear. I'm sorry. Like, you can't do that. But they're like, well, we're paying her to do that. First of all, I'm like, are you paying her an actual American salary? Or are you paying her a Nigerian salary? Because if she was getting paid a Nigerian salary, she was working for fucking pennies. You know, they were paying her a Nigerian salary. But she was so grateful and so nice. One time I came in there, she was putting powder on the chief, my father-in-law. He had his shirt off because it's fucking hot as hell. And she's rubbing powder on him and he's sitting there just looking pleased as punch. And I just went upstairs. I was just like, no, I can't. Like, it was that experience. It fucked me in the head in so many different ways, because I'm just like, okay, I was just at a plantation 2 weeks ago before I came out here. Because this is when I was still going to SCAD. And we went down to Thomasville, Georgia to help create this magazine. And we spent the night on a plantation. I spent the night in a plantation house. So I was just like, yeah, this is kind of fucking me up, you know.
Then it was. That's almost, that sent a chill through my body.
Yeah. And just visiting that plantation, because again, setting foot there, I expected to see like all the evidence of the horror that happened there, you know, but it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And the house and everything, the land, the grass, just everything was gorgeous. And I didn't know what to do with it. And I'm like, well, I can see why somebody would want to hold their wedding here. But no, don't fucking get married on this goddamn plantation. And I guess they thought it was okay to give tours and hold weddings there because of the history of that plantation in particular. Northerners that came, carpetbaggers that came and bought it and turned it into a hunting plantation. And then all of the slaves that had previously lived and worked there, they continued.
Were hunted?
No, that's terrible. They continued.
Yeah, it is.
It wasn't as terrible as that, but they continued to live and work there as laborers. And so as they recounted the history of the plantation, they kept on referring to them as laborers, and kind of trying to erase the fact that, no, these niggas actually worked here for free for a good and long while. And perhaps a bit of your white by way of Europe guilt, because a lot of these Northerners were Europeans, immigrants.
Yeah.
They had been there a couple of, yeah. So I met some very nice descendants of some very nice German Northerners that came down and bought the plantation and turned it into a hunting plantation. And like at one point, one of the folks I was with, because we're going through the tour and they're explaining things, and I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, they probably had a slave standing over here waiting them to do that. And then the bell pull, oh yeah, that's for the slave. The paintings was probably done by a slave. Oh, look, there's a picture of a little black guy standing next to a horse because he's a jockey. He was a slave, but he was the one riding that fucking horse and caring for that horse. And so all of this is going through my head. But again, I'm just like, you know what? I'm just taking in this experience. I'm just going to take it in. As a writer, just take it in. And one of my fellow writers stepped to me and like, they're not going to say anything about the fucking slaves. I'm like, you're ruining this for me because I don't need to have a come apart right now.
Was this a white person?
Of course, it was.
I was like, why don't you say it? You do it. You do it.
But she's asking me, are they going to say anything about the slaves? Well, ask the tour guide if she's going to say anything about the slaves. Not me. I'm not here to get angry with you. She meant well, but also
because she was just realizing all of this shit. Whereas you've known since you were a child. Even when we didn't know, we knew. It's
always funny to be around like a white person who is trying to be an ally. And they're coming to these realizations and they're getting upset and angry as they should. But we're at a party and I'm trying to be here at this party having a good time. Or I'm on this tour and I'm really trying to learn, whatever it is I need to learn because we're on assignment. We're supposed to write about what we see. So I'm just being on assignment, just being impartial and not putting my personal experience or feelings into it whatsoever. But since you're just having this epiphany about the wrongs,
like, did you all know this?
I knew.
Yeah.
Calm down.
Go get your people. I'm not doing it. I'm trying to be constructive because you can, take the anger and put it into like what you're doing. But I'm not about to, this isn't a revelation. This isn't revelatory for me. No. I live this. So please kindly go be outraged somewhere else. And then I like when they look at you like, they're disappointed with your calm demeanor.
Yeah.
Like, really? No, I need to save this for tomorrow when I'm followed in the store or something happens in a mundane setting. That's not even in a plantation. It's just like at Target or something. Like, girl, anyway, all right. Back to the White Lotus.
So anyway, I think that's what I enjoyed about the first season the most is those conversations about race, where, of course, it's being told from the white person's perspective, this wealthy white person's perspective. But I appreciated how the kids, even though like the daughter and the son, they had their own issues, but they were checking the parents. And to hear what was coming out of the parents' mouth, I'm like, I actually appreciated when Trump was in office. I did. Because the people who have the racism problems, they were talking. And I want to know exactly where your mind is at right now. I don't want us to be all polite. I'm done being polite because this politeness hasn't moved our nation forward. So go ahead and tell your truth so I can check you like you need to be checked. And that's what I liked about the first season. They were being checked. Eventually, like, they had their happy ending. That pissed me off. That pissed me off because it was at the expense of a person of color who had his land stolen from him by these people and then had to fucking dance for them. When that girl, what was her name?
Paula,
who was dating Kai. When she brought that up, I was just like, thank you. Thank you for actually notating whoever wrote that part of the show or that episode. I really do appreciate them including that.
I appreciated that too, but then that made it all the more fucked up when Kai's demise also kind of is hastened by Paula. Like it was just like, girl, what are you doing? Like she's not a dummy. Like that's what I appreciated. Like those two girls, they were assholes. Like there were scenes where it's like, oh, y'all are the fucking worst. You are trash, but they're not stupid.
No,
like they are educated, and even while like the parents are getting checked, especially like coming out of the white girl's mouth, it's like, yeah, she's right, but at the same time, I call bullshit on you too because you're saying all the things, but you're still doing what you're doing. You still can't stand for this person of color to have just a little bit, which was very much like Cameron in the second season when he said, absolutely, everybody that I liked, you always had to get. It was the same dynamic. Like here's a white person, here's a non-white person, but the non-white person does have their own privilege. Like, they're like most of us, like living both sides. Mm-hmm. But now I don't think that Ethan in the second season was egregious in the way that Paula was, because when it all came down to it, you fucked Kai in more ways than one. Like that was messed up. It's like, where is that thing that all of us non-whites have when it comes? Like, where's your tribalism? Even though like you may be from a different part, because she learned his history like somebody, who wasn't a person of color, but she understood it because she's constantly dealing with this bitch and her family. And it's like from the outside, it looks like she has privilege, but she's there on their dime. And like there was one part where she's like, I have to get back before she wakes up. And he's like, it was basically like, why do you care? Like, why are you hiding this? And she's like, because she's tricky. And that actress, she's brand new, like doesn't have like many credits to her name, but just her reading of that line, like, she's tricky. It's like, I knew exactly what she meant. You knew exactly what she meant. It's like, it is that way that we know them better than they know themselves. Which is in the same way as like all those laborers, read slaves that worked in that plantation home that you knew when to bob and when to weave, because you start knowing these sociopathic motherfuckers because it is the way that you live. And that's what she was dealing with. Even though she herself is also a student, maybe she's on scholarship, whatever, she still realizes that she can't share everything. Like if we're on vacation and there's a guy that like you're fucking somebody on the step, we talking about it. You're not gonna hide him from me because you don't expect me to be like, so you had my friend last night. Now try. Like, I'm not gonna do that because we're actual friends and they're frenemies. Like, that is not your friend. Now go off. You got your vacation. You're around this girl for some reason. I guess because you're both assholes and like y'all see the asshole in each other, but ultimately you're not friends. You're hiding this boy from her because and she was right. As soon as that girl saw it, she had to go and holler. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if she's just jealous or also just wants to fuck her, or maybe they do that. Like their relationship was kind of like, what are y'all doing? Because she didn't just look like regular white girl, I gotta have it too. She looked jealous. Like, no, I'm mad that he's touching you, jealous. And maybe jealous that she was getting some and she wasn't. I don't know. It was a very weird, their dynamic was very strange.
Well, first of all, look at how gorgeous Paula is. Paula is legitimate.
Oh yeah, Paula's beautiful.
And then did they say what university they were attending? Did they ever
Yale. And I only learned that because I was on a Reddit thread and somebody posted the only plot twist of this season was that the two girls went to Yale and they didn't even mention it until the end. Because you know that stereotype that people who go to Yale, like, they don't fucking stop talking about how they go to Yale. And they were like, the plot twist was that these girls did not mention Yale until the very end. Because like no one who goes to Yale shuts the fuck up about it. So
and that's interesting juxtaposed with second season, how Albie was so apprehensive about saying that he went to Stanford. But we both know that these places are predominantly white, and that the likes of fucking what's her name from Desperate Housewives and other bitches will pay for their kids to get into these schools, you know, instead of earning their merit, while a lot of people who are smart, like Paula, who are people of color, you know, are pining to get in and aren't given a chance, even though they could learn circles around their wealthier white counterparts. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, like, Paula's legitimately gorgeous. And I'm guessing that as someone who's also been like the only person of color or the only Black girl in a predominantly white space, you're not safe, but you still need a friend. So you try to figure out who the person is that you can most fuck with, you know, while remaining safe. Now, that other person always thinks of you as, oh, we're best friends. They don't really know about anything about you. They're not really taking the time to get to know, or they know enough, but they will never actually know every part of you because they are not a person of color. They are white. And that privilege, it's like a protective cloak, you know, and it's also,
and they can whip it out and hide under it. Yeah, you're kind of like under there too when they deem you worthy, or when you have shown yourself to just be a browner version of them.
Yes,
they just assume like, well, she's here with me. There's something about her. Like, they only want to see that. They don't want to see the differences. And until you do something to fuck up, where it's like, oh, wait a minute, you have this too. You also know how to do that. You're not under that cloak anymore. Now they see you not as you have been seeing them. Like, oh, we're not totally friends, but they only see that when they see that you may be on the same level as them, if not higher. That's
more of a possessionship than a friendship. Yes. They have acquired you, and you are like a trophy relationship that they can tout to kind of like highlight how, oh yeah, I'm woke. Like, as much as I didn't appreciate the mom always saying, oh, you're on this is some woke stuff again. Because she was right, though. She was.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah. Woke stuff is not who you really are. And in about 10 or 15 years, you will grow out of it and you will be just as like.
The way they all do.
Yes. So.
The way they all do.
So, yeah, you know, if it were me, would I have gone to Hawaii for free and stayed in a luxury hotel with them?
Oh, yeah.
But would I've also had my guard up and understood that I was not them and they were not going to be checking for me or anything that I cared about in the same way. And I love how Paula she didn't even, at certain points, especially in interacting with the parents, she didn't even pretend like, I'm not trying to try to kiss your ass. You are the fucking enemy.
Like she was just, she was great. That actress was great. And she's beautiful.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Like, it's like, I don't know if this is offensive, but I'm like at one point I could think of her name. And so to myself, I was like, yeah, Moana over there. Like, Moana's gorgeous. She's totes gorgeous. Why is that an insult? I mean, I didn't say what. Like, she's not Black. She's totally gorgeous.
I wish I was caramel complected like that. Like, do you even realize, like,
do you know your lashes? I am convinced they didn't put this in the show, but I've told you about that thing, like, from white girls when they're complimenting you, but also trying to take a piece of your skin off.
Yeah.
Like, you're so pretty. I know that has happened with them. And if it hasn't, if they were friends from young, it happened, because you know that she's made comments like, oh my God, your eyebrows are totally perfect. And your eyelashes, I want them. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to go to sleep around you. Like, and that is why I feel like some of it was jealousy of the, like, no, I'm the one who fucks you type.
Yeah.
It was a little bit more than just like the jealousy that you might feel like, oh, my friend is prettier than me, or she always pulls the guy. Because the other white girl was like pretty in the white girl way, but did not hold a candle.
No.
Like, she's like pretty where it's like you're around a bunch of white girls. Yeah, you stand out. Because she kind of had like some lips, sort of. But once the other girl comes, or anyone of color that just comes with like what we have, it's like, yeah, I don't. It's like if I had to pick who I'm attracted to, Paula, because like she's thick, she's beautiful. Like I was just staring at her face, like this girl's face is perfect.
She's just gorgeous, and then like her hair and everything was just beautiful. Now see the point that you just brought up about like you have this person of color, and they just stand out. I started watching the Harry and Meghan series documentary. I had it on late one night, and that girl is gorgeous. Meghan Markle, she is legitimately beautiful.
Yeah, she's really pretty.
Yeah, and I can see why Harry, like they show pictures of him and her together all the time, and he's always like, oh, he is so in love. He is so smitten.
Yeah.
Why would she not be? And I think like
really beautiful. She's truly beautiful. And she looks just like her mama.
Yes. And see, the thing is, what I liked about that documentary is how it brought up how Black people were happy with their union because they were like, oh, this is great. And a Black girl is going to be a princess. And this might have like huge implications for what the UK does moving forward as it relates to race and colonizing and all of that. We were all thinking that. White folks was thinking that shit and you've said this before in other podcast episodes, how there's that thing, and this also relates back to Paula's, what was her name? What was the daughter's name?
I forgot. Shoot, I forgot.
It also relates back to the daughter. Like there is a jealousy that happens with white women of women of color, especially when a love interest is involved. And it doesn't matter if the man is white or if the man is Black or whatever. If it's a man who prefers that woman of color over them, there are problems. Like, what's her name? Shit, did I send you that article? Was it Megyn Kelly? She was on a podcast.
Yes. Because Megyn had her hand on her stomach. Oh no, because she said my husband.
She always says my husband. We know who it is. Like, bitch,
because that's a white boy that I should have. Yes.
We know you're married. We know you bagged a big one. Like, bitch, why are you so bothered?
Because a Black girl, a non-white girl, is not supposed to. My sister talks about this all the time when she went to LSU. And what is LSU known for? Like one of the things, their football team. Who's the football team mostly comprised of? Very fit Black men, black boys, whatever. And a lot of the time they would be surrounded by these white girls, you know, the cheerleader type, you know, blonde, whatever. And it's so crazy because it's like, well, yeah, we're not in a time of segregation anymore where like Black goes with Black and white goes with white. But why are you turning up your nose because a Black girl has shown up to hang around these other Black guys? And they would instantly get like this weird, like, they know that there's probably going to be a connection there. It's like, oh, this is something that this girl has that I don't. But then she's pretty too. And my sister's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, she walks up, like maybe she's not even trying to get with anybody, but she's just in the orbit and may know some of these guys because of course she does, because Black students stick together. And
these for like, protection.
Yes. But like you just said that when the white person befriends the Black person or whoever it is, they feel like, oh, like this is my best friend. But when they see another side of you, which is you also knowing this Black girl, they would instantly have this kind of thing. And it's like, I know you're not trying to be possessive of this Black boy. Or like, why are you here? And then don't let you also be pretty to their standards. Also, like, you're the kind of pretty that, like what's that saying? You're somebody who's everybody's type.
Yeah.
And you're Black. They don't like that. And it is, and I have experienced that. I've experienced it. She experienced it all the time because of course she did. Like, you know, it is just crazy. They are brought up to expect to be the center. And I don't remember I think after we talked about this on another episode, you sent me a TikTok where there's a white woman breaking it down. Like, yes, we expect to be it.
White women don't want a Black woman over them, upsetting the hierarchy of supremacy. But even more than that, white women are scared of black women. We fear them. And the reason we fear them is because we know that they are free. We know that they are strong. We know that they are much better than us when it comes to supporting each other and being authentic and being real and speaking their truth. And we don't like that because we know that we should be doing that, but we're not.
So when somebody else comes who can not only like talk the same shit and like just kind of have like a universal appeal, but brown, they don't know how to handle that. So they're either your enemy or they do that thing like, oh my God, you're so pretty. Where it's like your words sound like a compliment, but your face looks like you want to kill me and eat me and or wear me.
Yeah. That shit goes so deep though, because again, like, and you know, these are the times where I actually try to put myself in the shoes of like a white mistress of a plantation. Like, I would be really pissed if my husband was spending every night down in the slaves' quarters. This is a woman who is malnourished. She's a slave. She has no agency, no right. And you would rather spend your time with her to the point where you think you love her, you know, and you're having kids by her. There was no way. What Mrs. Jefferson? That woman was not okay with Thomas and Sally Hemings. She was not okay.
But she was a gift to her. And then he was like, I will take a part of this gift too, which is yours is also mine. Who was a child? And now, and here's the dichotomy of like, I mean, all enslaved people, like they were not okay. They were in danger. But if you were in the house, I think sometimes it was seen as you have a better life. Maybe in some ways you did, but it was probably a little more dangerous because they're probably not malnourished and able to actually really show their beauty. Because if I'm a playmate for your daughter and I have to follow her everywhere, you're not going to have me going in my rags. Yeah. I'm going to also have a dress on. Maybe it's her old one, but you get to be clean and like really show the beauty that is always there that can't be denied. But now I get to be clean and like my hair is however too. I feel like it was even more dangerous for them because then the white woman could probably see it. Like, oh, like but they already knew that from lips to nose to hair mixture. And then you having these children that also look like your husband and your children too.
They had like a private, I remember I either saw a documentary on this or read something on this where Sally had her own quarters inside of the house. It was like a secret room where she kept her family, her kids. So he had a little apartment for her. And then she went and traveled with him. Now, again, like from her perspective, she's a slave, but she's living a significantly better life than
being outside.
Your Cotton Pickin Field nigga. Like she's having a totally different experience.
You just gave somebody like fodder to be like, I like that. Cotton Pickin Field niggas, Trump 2024. Because that was fucking catchy. Ratings?
Yes.
I gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, 5 stars.
Phone down and watch. This is definitely must-see TV, both seasons.
I was caught up, even though I felt like the second season, it took me a while to get into the characters and connect with them. But I think that's only because I was so connected to what was happening in the first season. And
you didn't have a break of a year and change. Because the last show premiered in the summer. And this one came on in October. So I wasn't even thinking about I only thought about the first season when I saw that they bought Coolidge.
Yeah.
They were like mad, but then if you watch the end, it's like, oh, okay. And then like the other episode, she was like, I haven't experienced death. And then you pointed out that her with the shit with the boats. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Just like when she had problems tossing her mama's ashes off the thing. Oh, she would be so mad. Would she like this? She wouldn't appreciate this. And like, you're going to go that same way, bitch. You're going to go that same way.
Both her parents fucked her up. Because not Isabella, I think that's actually her name. Portia made this comment about like her dad was a shipping magnate or something. And also their relationship was strange.
Yeah.
She made that comment like maybe he had been molesting her, which made me wonder, is that why her mom was mean? to her? Was it like misplaced anger?
She legitimately had problems, but you go to fucking therapy because you can afford it. You don't hound Belinda, the Reiki and massage therapy specialist at the first White Lotus, and then promise her that you're going to support her business, and then be like, oh no, I do this all the time. I really need to change, bitch. And see, I was so glad in the second season when she said, I should have went and supported Belinda and her spa for poor people. Yeah, you should have, because you might still.
But then she said, I think she was a witch, which made, like, they're always like they're othering us. Like,
yeah,
it was so much like.
Well, and then I'm glad that she cursed your ass and you died, because you deserve.
Yeah, and I doubted, because she seemed like she was this really sweet. Well, I don't know, because that's how you got to be. You never know. But I was my only disappointment with season 1 was I wanted more of Belinda separate from Tanya. Like she, you know, like I wanted to see like a little more. But you know, if she's in it, like the show could have just been about Natasha Rothwell. I probably would have never been satisfied with like what they gave her. But I think he did a great job. And I'm going to find this article for sure so I can link to it. But I believe there's an article where Natasha Rothwell is talking about how he really worked to make sure he was doing shit right. There's like, okay, I got this Black character. Like he saw himself like, I'm a wealthy white man. Like he could be on a vacation like this. And she made this comment that kind of like alluded to like, yeah, we had conversations, and like made sure that, you know, that he wasn't putting his foot in his mouth. So, but it seems like he really did take care to make the connections and to highlight privilege in not like a really preachy way. But yeah, the first season is really, really good. And I really like how the I call her Gwyneth Paltrow character, because her company was a spoof of Goop, because the name of her company was like Poof or something. And like how she was like, so like women, and Hillary Clinton, but then kept bemoaning how it's hard for young white men. I'm like, yeah, this is who voted for Trump.
And okay.
Yeah, she is good. She's always good at everything she does. She's really good at playing that type of woman. She was in that OJ show as like one of the friends of Kris Jenner.
Oh,
she's really, really good. And I know her from Nashville and Friday Night Lights and Spin City, but she's a good actress. Mm-hmm. And she plays that like, honey, I don't know. And just kind of like white woman. Everybody was really good. I don't think there was a slouch in either season.
No, and see, my only problem with the second season, and I think the reason why I was unable to connect so well right off the bat is because I kept imagining dude from The Sopranos, and I'm like, okay, are they going to go over here? Did they kill these people that's floating in the sea? Because obviously they're mafia affiliated. I'm like Sopranos.
Oh wow, okay,
that's it. And so I was like, no, Nikki, different character.
Stop, stay on track. Yeah. Did you give your rating?
Yeah, my 4.55 stars. I think the only reason why I would say 4.5 stars is it ended up being my fault. I was just unable to connect to the second season's characters, because I did watch the show back to back, and I was just like, I was invested in the first season, like from jump. Like, with the concierge, like that dude was just barely hanging on. Like he was in the wrong profession if he wanted to stay sober. Because
yeah, he's good, because I always detected this undercurrent of like darkness, even like at the beginning of seeing him. And it was hilarious how after a while he was just straight up fucking with that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
he was. Just
power. But I love it. Now, I did not agree with that dude, but the one thing I was on his side with is, okay, if I don't have this room, don't charge me for the other room. Like that was the only thing. Like, all right, dude, you fucked up. Because he did mess up. Just comp him
the room. He double booked him. Just comp him the room. And
but he hates those people. He hated them. So he was just like, let me fuck with it. But he was crazy. Now, the other woman was much more professional, like from the second season.
Yes.
But she had her own issues, definitely. But she was not unhinged, I wouldn't say.
I was just
in the same way.
I was just wondering what was keeping her from living her life, because like Italy doesn't. Well, there is chauvinism in Italy. There is racism in Italy. I've heard lots of negative things about Italy, about Black people traveling in Italy, but I've also heard positive things. But I'm still like, they're still a European country, and at the end of the day, Europeans just don't give a fuck about certain shit, you know?
They don't.
So I was just still wondering, like, you got these hoes like traversing all through the hotel. She didn't want them there, but they were there, and they were kind of like one of the hotel's amenities. so hey, like, why not? You know, if your guests are wanting this. But she
struck me as just being repressed.
Yeah, I didn't quite understand why she couldn't live her lesbian life out loud. And I don't know, maybe I'm just not aware of the LGBT climate in Italy, but then you had these gay men, you know, just doing fine. So is that another commentary on gender?
Gay men who have money, even if they really don't, they do. She's working.
Okay. So maybe that's
so they're not even on the same level. You know, like she has a job to do. She's built up this persona. But my thing was like, you're so mean though. Nobody's going to be for you. Like, you're mean when you don't have to be. Normally I like that. I got gravitated to that character. Like, you're so mean. He's a bitch for no reason. Girl, I love it. Keep it up. And it's like, okay, wait, what's your motivation? Like, if I couldn't get on board with the mean character, something's wrong, because I root for them.
Yeah.
So, like, she was like, I get this feeling, which I kind of wish we could have seen, that maybe her family is super whatever, or she's just one of those people who has not admitted to herself who she is. Because she's just because I think she hated those girls, because she's a beautiful woman too. And she was built. Did you see that scene when she got up?
Yeah.
So I was like, her butt is just a true muscle. Yeah. Like, what is this woman doing?
She was fine. She was doing okay. Like, she could have pulled ladies all throughout. So I
think she was jealous because they were like, this is what we're doing. Like there is a comfort and a confidence with that. Like, they were living their lives. They weren't hiding.
She wasn't allowing herself.
She was not.
Yeah. Well, bravo, HBO. I mean, for creating a discussion like that, just so many nuances, so many channels that we could go down and just really just spend an entire episode on. But
yes. Yeah. And he's mentioned a third season too.
If they didn't come back for a third season, I'd be upset. Like,
yeah, you gotta kind of you don't have to have a fourth season, but you gotta have a third season.
If they have 5 seasons, I'll watch all 5 seasons.
Thank you for listening to Tangentially Speaking. This podcast is recorded and produced by Nita Sharice and Nikki Ebo. Our theme music is Lush Living by Martin Landstrom. Our artwork was created by Prime Vice Studios. You can learn more about this intellectual property development agency at primevice.com. Find us on your favorite podcast player and YouTube. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter.